Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. With your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Friday edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, Dennis Dick. Earnings parade continues today. I'm looking around for some non-earnings headlines. I do see another fire in California that appears to be linked to PG&E. But aside from that, it is an earnings-heavy day. Amazon being the lead story, obviously. So we'll cover as many of those as we can. Our guest today, Raghee Horner, Forex and currency trading expert for Simpler Forex. She will join us at 8:35, and we'll also do a hot potato segment at the end of the show. Joel, what's the word here overnight?
Oh boy, quiet range here, Spencer. 3,000, that's your pre-market low, just above your low from Thursday at 98.75. That's your big level on the downside. On the upside, pre-market high 09.75. That's nowhere. We just got to get through 15.25. That was Thursday's high. On the upside, I will note this has to be one of the quietest weeks of the year. We have had a little over a 30-point range in the S&Ps. Your low was made on Wednesday at 29.82. Your high was made yesterday at 30.1525. Very quiet, setting up some fireworks. I don't know if it's going to be today or tomorrow, but this market is gonna move out of this area. Crude in the red by 15 cents at 56.08. Gold over 1,500, up 720 at 1511.90. And don't look now, silver's back over $18, up 38.6 cents. Wow, big move for silver. Bitcoin trying to get back to 8,000, up $150 at 7,650. And Triple D, I did not know that you had a ranch in California.
I did not know that either. So it's very interesting. I have a ranch in California because if we look at my Twitter timeline here, just tweet at me. My buddy Troy tweets at me that he was driving down Highway 1. Can we show the picture of this?
Can you show this, Spencer? Oh, look at Spencer.
He says, I was driving down Highway 1 in Half Moon Bay today and passed your California cottage. Trading must be good. The Triple D Ranch Road. Troy, why didn't you take that sign for me? That's an awesome sign.
Oh, you're not you. Do you know?
Yeah, don't get in trouble. Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want you getting in trouble, but that is an awesome sign. If I had that, I would display that in my trading room here right now. Awesome, Troy. Thanks for sending me that,
Troy,
buddy.
or is just from the Twitter sphere?
That's from Troy in the Twitter. I think he's in. Troy's usually in the chat rooms too, isn't he? I think Troy's in there.
I'm not sure.
Troy, are you in the chat room? Get in the chat room.
Does it say? Is there a sign that says "No whining allowed" out at Triple D Ranch Road?
Ha ha ha. Then you wouldn't be invited, Joel.
All right, let's talk.
He's gonna change the subject faster.
Let's talk Amazon here.
Holy mackerel! So, if you would have told me yesterday that Amazon was going to be down 114 points, besides buying the straddle, and you would also tell me that the SPY would only be down 30 cents, I'd say craziness.
I know.
Market incredible strength here in the face of one of the darlings getting hit hard. And it's not only Amazon getting hit. There's a lot of stocks getting hit here today. So you're going to see some major rotation. I mean, if the SPY holds up as much as it is, you're going to see some major rotation here today. And that's going to be into non-Amazon related stocks, obviously. But I think it's probably going to go into a little more non-tech too, because you got the Qs trading down a buck, obviously all off Amazon. But there's only going to be a lot. We've talked about this trade before too. Like if you go and add up and do the math, which I haven't done yet, but if we do it quickly, Amazon and the Qs, let's see how much percentage it is. It's significant. It is almost 10% of the Qs. So when you get a fall of 6% in Amazon, you can just round and say that's about 0.6% on the Qs. The Qs are only down 0.47. So basically the Qs aren't even down enough for Amazon right now. And you know Amazon's going to bring down Facebook, and it's probably going to bring down some of the other major tech darlings too, the whole thing. Google's down $8 here in the pre-market. What does that mean? It means money is going to rotate into the non-tech components of the Qs. And I can tell you it's going to be stocks like Pepsi, stocks like Costco, maybe stocks like Starbucks. You're going to see those stocks actually not trade down, potentially trade higher, because the math has to add up. So if you look in the pre-market, Starbucks is bid up. You might wonder why. That's the arbitrage going on. Starbucks probably going to open higher today just because it's a non-tech component of the Qs. I know it doesn't make any sense. And if you're the Starbucks CEO and you went and told them, your stock's probably going to be up today because Amazon is down too much, they probably just say, what the hell are you talking about? I tell you, it's the way the herb works. Watch those stocks today, those non-tech components of the QQQs, even like the Mondelez and the KHC. These stocks could show a little bit of life here as long as Amazon stays weak and the Qs stay where they are. If the Qs start to tank, it could make up for it. But right now, the Qs are not down enough to even account for Amazon. So other stocks have to be up because the math of the 100 stocks have to add up to the Qs.
All right,
You'll never learn that, and you never read that in a book anywhere, guys, unless I write the book.
Is that going to be another chapter in your book?
That'll be more than 4 pages to explain all that, and that would be a big chunk. And I mean, I make money trading off of this stuff. Those are the stocks that could be a little bit stronger here today. And these trends, everything can change. I mean, if Amazon starts to really rally, then that trade comes off, and you actually see, you see those Starbucks and other stocks fall off. So, but if Amazon stays weak and the Qs stay where they are, a lot of those other components in the QQQ need to go up. It's probably why Cisco is trading higher here today. Why Cisco is with this group. You see this a lot. You see Cisco move the opposite way. Cisco is definitely a tech stock. But for whatever reason, when you see this, phenomenon happen, and it happens when the big components report, like the Facebooks and the Amazons, the ones that have a huge weighting, you'll see this happen from time to time, especially with Microsoft and Apple and Amazon, because those are Apple's 11%, Microsoft's 11%, Amazon's almost 10%, 9.36%. So when you see a big move in one of those and the Qs aren't making up for it, it's telling you there's going to be some other stocks that are going to move up here today.
Not to change the subject, but what kind of shirt do you have on today?
You don't like this shirt? First of all, you complain about my shirt every day. But secondly look, it's a fun shirt. My wife bought me this one. I get a lot of compliments on it.
What is it?
Can you read it?
It says back in my day.
Yeah, back in my day. You probably didn't even realize that. We had 9 planets. Did you realize Pluto's not a planet anymore?
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'm into space, like that's it. Most traders, you're kind of crazy like that. I'm in outer space half the time when I'm trading. So I'm into space too. I like that kind of stuff. So
all right.
Big Stephen Hawking fan.
All right. Amazon here is the story in the morning. Earnings were light. Earnings fell for the first time in, I believe it was 2 years. This is, I guess, to be expected considering of the cost of one-day delivery is higher than initially thought. EPS, I'll give you the numbers, $4.23 versus a $4.62 estimate. Revenue was a bit higher, $70 billion versus $68 billion. Amazon Web Services revenue was basically in line. But the real headline here is their guidance. They guided light for the current quarter. They said the Q4 sales guidance to be between $80 to $86 billion. $87 billion was the estimate.
Stock is off the pre-market lows or after-hours lows, but we are still perilously, I say perilously with the caution word, below the October low of the recent move, which is 1685. If we can get back up and claim 1685, then it starts to get interesting. But I'd say as long as it's below 1685, bears are still in command here. So we're seeing Amazon down 111. Straddle writers were obviously, we talked about it yesterday, 70 points. So they're making a little bit of money here. I don't know, Joel. I mean, this is a tough one. I'd love to own Amazon in my long-term portfolio, but the valuation has always scared me away. I mean, if you look forward, they could make more money. Could you argue it's trading 50, 60 times? Probably. Is that where it's at? Where is the multiple on this thing? 50, 60? It's way more than the other ones, but like I'm talking the other major components like the Microsofts and Apples, but where are we? Where are we on the PE?
Just find it real fast.
I'd love to own Amazon in my long-term portfolio, but I can't put in there with a PE of 60.
Well, the forward PE I've got a 48. The trailing.
It's getting more reasonable.
Trailing.
Maybe that's based on yesterday's close, or is that based currently? Is that updating right now?
73 is the trailing PE. So.
I don't know. I want to own Amazon, but I can't bring myself to buy the dip.
Well, should we discuss what we were talking about on the pre-market show? The Bezos divorce top final. Right?
Joel's got his theories coming. Give us this theory now, Joel. You always got some interesting theories. I'll give you that. You get theories in your head that nobody else comes up with. So give it to me.
It's just, that divorce was, final, I believe, in July here. And his wife got 38.3, billion in stock and stuff. And she's just been dumping it this whole time.
This is all Jeff Bezos' wife, this recent sell-off.
Yeah, I like to see.
It could be a constant seller. She had some stock.
Yep. And no, I just think, when sometimes when you see personal things going on, I mean, it didn't work so well with his little picture that he did in February, but just other things going on in his life and not concentrating on the company as much. And there you go. There's the Bezos top. And I'm going to equate that with Zuckerberg's face during that interview a few days ago. But you just look at, I think the trading day is practically over in Amazon here. I don't think you're going to get back down to that pre-market low of 16, 17, 80. I think when you pull back here, you're going to just find buyers. I really doubt. I mean, we're 50, 60 points off that low. And then on the upside here, right now, the rally's been capped at 1685 and boom. I mean, didn't you say
that's a big level?
That was the old low?
Yeah.
There you go.
Don't tell me these levels don't come in. That's page 3 of our 4-page technical analysis book, Support, Resistance, and Trends. That's on the resistance page now, that 1685 number, because we were right on there. Old support becomes new resistance.
Yep.
One line.
And the people that are going to be selling here, I mean, maybe there's going to be some long-term people trying to puke the position out in this $1,700 stock with no liquidity. But I think the people that are going to be selling it are the people that just bought, they don't own it. They just bought the dip here. And they're just trying to squeeze as much as they can out of it. So I think that, the bots and the people that bought it earlier here are going to dictate how high it goes because they're just trying to get out of winning positions. No one else has. I mean, the other people with winning positions on in the stock are longtime holders. Maybe
that probably are still holding.
Yeah, that are probably still holding. But day's over. Day's over for Amazon here.
It's already priced in. I mean, that's why I like trading after hours. You get a lot of this price action where you can have big moves in stocks and you can get down dirty. Like I said, we're on Tesla trading that after hours on the report where you can make 10 points in about 10 seconds. I mean, when you're trading those headline numbers. Question. The other thing is when you get on the wrong side, it's ugly. So I've been on the wrong side of some of these big earnings moves too, and it's ugly as well. So anyways, going in the opposite direction and actually helping your Qs out a little bit here this morning is Intel. And if we look, Intel is 2.73% of the index, so a lot less of it. And it's only up 3% here. Intel has been leaking the entire session, or at least for the last few hours from pre-market and the after hours, because this thing got up over $56, almost to 57. Just absolute silliness last night. If you're chasing these stocks like Intel up that much in this tape, you're doing it wrong too. I wish I would have shorted it last night. I actually thought about went over 56. I'm like, this is getting silly. And it's come back in significantly already. It's already lost 2/3 of the after hours gain. So you think Intel's having a pretty good day? Not as good as it was having last night.
Did they give like old bad news a couple quarters ago?
No, that's why I sold the thing. I sold it. I had a long-term portfolio at 50. I sold it at 50 because it came out basically and said the earnings were going to suck for the next couple of years. It's basically what they said. So they do the same thing. They give the lower expectations, and then they can beat those lower expectations, and that's pretty much what's happened. Spencer Israel, what were the numbers for INTC?
It was a beat on the EPS, a beat on the sales, and a guidance raise for the full year.
And a buyback increase.
Yes, and that too. So a good headline across the board, pretty much.
Quadruple good stuff there, but they're already leaking it though, so that's concerning to me.
I mean, the high's in, the
high's in. 56.5, and it isn't getting there. It isn't getting to 56. It's not even getting to 55, in my opinion. I think it'd have trouble even if it got up near 55. I mean, if this thing continues to leak, we've seen this. We've seen this story before. It's a tough market to be buying rips in. The dips have somewhat worked, but if you're buying the rips, and it's always tough. I hate buying stocks when they're up 10% because you're buying somebody else's profits, and a lot of times when the dust settles, these things come back in. But we've seen from this earnings season, time and time again, a lot of stocks, not all of them, but a lot of stocks rip on the headline numbers, rip up, and then start to come back down to earth, and some of them actually go red afterwards. I don't think Intel's going red. It's a pretty good quarter with the buyback and everything, but day's over for this one too. It's already had the big move. I mean, we're 50.
Possibly
Probably priced fairly. Day's over.
Who would buy this thing at 56?
I might as well just go home, except I'm at home.
You are home. Yeah.
Because the day's over for Amazon. The day's over for Intel. All the price discovery has happened.
I'll tell you right now, if we still had the Bright trading room and we were trading these after-hour earnings,
I do.
And someone was trading Intel and they bought it in the 56 handle, I would rip them from their desk and I would throw them out of the office.
It's kind of mean, Joel.
I would. I mean, come on, some discipline here.
What we need is a big sign, and this is for you newer traders too. And the sign's going to say 2 words, and this is going to be the page 5 of our trading book. And it's going to have 2 words only on the page. And those 2 words are going to say, don't chase. That's what those 2 words are going to say. I had this, we remember Radar. Do you remember Radar that we're trading? If you listen to the show Radar, remember he was a trader that traded beside us, beside me in the Bright office in 1999. And he was chasing moves. He chased and he chased.
Radar?
Do you remember Radar? We called him Radar.
To his
nice kid, really nice kid. He was my age. We were both like 22 or 23. He was chasing a lot of moves. And I was like learning the hard way from him. I was like, he'd hop on where he was using NASDAQ level 2, which was big back in 1999. And stocks start going one direction. And then he'd buy, and then it would turn the other way. And then it would go down, and then he'd short it, and then it'd start turning the other way. And he was chasing moves. That's what he was doing wrong. I hope he eventually figured it out. Maybe he's a great trader here now. I don't know. He was only in our office for about maybe 6 months, 9 months.
Was it Rashid?
Not Rashid. This is when I first started 1999. But he was chasing moves. So Radar, if you're listening, I hope you stop chasing. I hope you're a great trader now.
Was he an oldie guy?
No, he's a young kid. No, he's a young kid. He's like my age. Holy, your memory. You have the good memory. I was supposed to have the goldfish memory.
He told me his real name. I mean,
I don't know his real name. We just called him Radar, and he's going back 20 years ago, and he's in the office for 6 months.
And you sat all the way to the right, and then Rashid was to your left.
Rashid came after him. Rashid came the same time I did, but Rashid was trading the other side. And then Radar, ended up not making out because he was chasing too many stocks, and he was out of the office after 9 months. And then Rashid moved beside me. He was the guy who was sitting beside me before Radar, or before Rashid.
Okay, I'm gonna have to think.
Anyways, Rashid was my buddy. Hi, Rashid. He's still my friend. But anyways, Radar. We hope you stop chasing stocks. So lesson everyone when we're learning, and I was learning back then too. And I learned not to chase stocks from watching Radar. I learned it myself as well. Whenever I would chase something, I was on the wrong side too. Don't chase. So when Intel runs up 8-10%, don't chase. Don't just say, okay, now I got to go buy this thing for a swing trade, because you know what? These things come back and they come down to earth. Chasing moves more often than not leads to losses.
Yeah, and I mean, if you got run over trying to short this thing, then, I'd say, hey, you made an attempt at it, shorted it at 56 and then covered it at the high or something. At least, you tried it. But quiet consolidation here for Intel. Really super quiet. Wow, look at this. So I'm saying 54. Someone's keeping a lid on this at 54.60. I'll use that as resistance. And I wouldn't get crazy about any downside until you took out. Man, it's really tight. It's like a 60-cent range. Like, let's call it 53.40 to 53.40 to 54. That's your trading range day over in Intel.
Okay, one other big report here to talk about. I'm going to go with Visa on this one. This was the one from last night. I know this First Solar and Gilead and all the other stocks. We want to talk about a specific stock, let us know. But I want to talk Visa, because Visa is an interesting report, because actually the numbers were not that great. We have another one of these examples where stock gets hit on the initial numbers that aren't that great, and then turns around and rallies the whole thing back. Again, don't chase, especially those people who are selling it down at the 170 support last night. Right on the headline numbers. News algo chases all over the place. That news algo loses money. Who's running that news algo? We need to start trading against that news algo all the time. Automatically trading against that headline news algo, because it throws away money a lot of times. Last night on Visa, the numbers were not good on Visa. Give us the numbers, Spencer.
I don't know what you're seeing, but what I'm seeing,
I'm seeing the same thing. Okay, so maybe the way they broke the numbers.
The numbers were okay. The adjusted EPS $1.47 versus $1.43. Sales 6.13 versus 6.08 billion. So beat on the top and the bottom line in the Q4.
How did that come across in the press release?
Oh, I didn't look.
Because when I originally looked at it, I see the adjusted numbers. I think it wasn't posting the adjusted numbers. I originally saw them miss.
Maybe
that's why they hit it. Show the chart of Visa. The algos will see the same thing that I saw. I saw an initial miss on the headline number. Can you post it, Joel? After hours chart Visa.
Yeah, I've got the chart up right there. So wait, so they also gave some guidance. Full year adjusted net sales growth in the low double-digit range, EPS growth in the mid-teens range.
Numbers were, I guess, okay, but on the original headline, whatever came,
that right there, yeah,
I saw a miss. And I didn't say miss, but I saw something, maybe there was an adjusted figure and then maybe the original number they posted wasn't adjusted. But I think the algo saw the same thing I did, because I remember thinking, oh, crap, Visa missed. And Visa falls off to where? 171?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And then they, the adjusted number comes out probably right after, and the next, boom, seconds later, and then they buy it all the way back up. So anyways, that's where you got to look and you got to say, sometimes those original headline numbers coming out, aren't even the adjusted numbers. And then you got to do some human beings have to think a little bit there. But I'm pretty sure that I saw the same thing on the original. Obviously we're looking a lot ahead. I'm watching Amazon, watching over, but I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh, Visa missed. So I don't see it there now. I don't see it on the original press release, but I think it missed originally. And it went down to 1, and the algos are telling me that they saw something too there. So, because it went down to 171. And then 2 minutes later, it's back to flat. So buy the dip works again. You got to watch those headline numbers because sometimes the adjusted figures aren't on there and it throws out the algos as well.
This is a kind of no man's land chart here. Trading here flat. I'm not going to put so much emphasis on yesterday's range, but I'm going to keep an eye on this 178 ladder level. There was a pair of highs surrounding that last Friday and earlier in the week. So rally, I'd look at 178 as potential resistance. On the downside here, I would use yesterday's low 73.40 as a minor support point. The thing is, you drop off $3 to 117.18 after that. So I don't know. Gap from yesterday, resistance at 178. A little hard to predict the range in this one, but it looks like it's just going to chop around today as well.
Then this morning, we'll go to the big dog. The report was Verizon. It's trading slightly green. Nothing too exciting here. What do we got for V Zebra?
Yep, Verizon Q3 adjusted EPS $1.25 that beat by a penny. Sales 32.89 versus $32.74 billion, so beat on the top and the bottom line in the Q4 for Verizon. They guided their full year EPS in the low single digit range, EPS growth.
Fine, the earnings were okay. That's okay. A lot of resistance in the mid 61s. I don't have my book open. JV Spec, if you have your book open, I gotta imagine we got some size at 62. Because we're through 61, we've been through 61. I bet you there's some significant size up at 62, maybe even below that. What are your thoughts?
There's significant size. There's someone that just wants out at 61.30 badly.
I'm trying to open the book. JV Spec, talk about Verizon. You know, he's sitting right there. What's in the book on Verizon? Because I don't have my book open yet.
You snuck up to 61.47 just a little bit ago, but then just go to those daily highs here. And someone just loves the 61.23 to 61.32 level. That's 4 of your last 5 lows. That's your area. Clear out the seller there. Maybe you get a peak at 62, but someone really wants out at 61.30 here with some size. It's kind of interesting because sometimes they're at 61, sometimes they're at 61.5. Maybe they're a true 60.
Sometimes they hide.
Yeah. Maybe they're just a true 61 seller. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh man, I'm going to get a little bit more out. Maybe they they'll say, hey, we'll deliver, 5 million shares to you at 61 tomorrow. And they're just working the piece and then just going to keep the difference, whatever they sell.
I mean, this is a good conversation to have for 2 minutes. You worked big orders when you were with Oldie, Joel. How would you work these orders? I mean, you got a big piece to buy for somebody. How do you work it? Because you used to do that too. I mean, I actually guess you were more on the market maker side, so you were the opposite end, but you usually provide the liquidity to the big orders. But just talk about working big orders, period. How do you work big orders?
I mean, for this, you could just tell the way it is just by the way it's trading, right? I mean, if they put, can someone have 4 or 5 million Verizon in their portfolio?
Easily,
right? So if you want to get out there and you put 5 million at 61,
not getting down to nothing. Everybody's flying the stock. It things at 60.5 on you in a second because everybody's scared the hell out of that order. You're chasing it away from yourself.
Right. And if you get, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days to work the order, and it's a not held order and they want an average price of 61, then, you let it, you put like, that's a sneaky seller right there because he's not at 61 and a quarter and he's not at 61 and a half. And right there, now who would think, 61.30, 61.23. So, they let it get above that level. They measure liquidity. They put out 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, and then see if it's getting absorbed at that area. And then, the bots kind of sneak out, there's a big seller here. And then they knock it down under 61 again. But that's what you do it. You get a not held order. They want out at 61 and, it's going to take more than a day or 2 or 3 or 4 days to work that order getting done. So you get a little bit higher, you float out 1,000, see how that's received. You float out 2,000, you see if that's gobbled up. Throw out 5. I don't know if you throw 5. Like if it's 61 and a quarter, 30 in Verizon, and you throw 5,000 out at 61 and a quarter, are you going to get done? Are they just going to scoop that up, Dennis?
How much? 5,000?
5,000, yeah.
Not on the pre-market.
No, what about the regular session?
I mean, you put 100 shares out there, it moves the price sometimes. It's ridiculous how the algos are so finicky. Like I'll be trading some stocks, and maybe not necessarily Verizon, it's a thicker stock, but in the S&P mid caps, and you're trying to get out of a stock, and you offer 200 shares, and the thing falls 50 cents on you. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous how much they're scared of real players. The market makers are so finicky, the high frequency market makers, and you throw out just to sell. That's why the way I execute, and the way I try to execute if I'm in thin stock, is if I really want out, I usually go down about 2/3 of the spread. So if it's like a 20-cent spread, I'll offer it down let's say the stock is trading 51 to 51.20. If I go and sell at 51.07 on if I'm trying to get 500 or 1,000 shares, it'll probably take me down that low. But if I go 51.10, the 51 will trade out, and then it'll be 51 offer on me. So usually about 2/3 of the spread. It depends on your size too. I mean, you're trying to do 2,000-3,000 shares, but you got 500 shares or something. You go 2/3 of the spread. Usually, you can get down on some stock. You usually get down on all of that. So use that as a rule of thumb. So what I'm saying is, on the wider spread stocks, so you trade AMD, doesn't matter. Stocks in a 1 penny spread, you can get out. But if you're in a thin stock and you're trying to work it, think about the 2/3 of the spread rule. So if the stock's 50 cents wide, if you really want out, you offer it down about 35 cents, you get done probably. So if it's 51 bid, you offer 51.15. Don't just go hit the 51. You don't have to give up that much edge. You go down to 51.15, usually they'll lift you on a few hundred shares anyways. So if you got 10,000 shares, good luck with that. I don't know how the hell you work those orders now. Joe Saluzzi we should have on here, because Joe Saluzzi and Sal Arnick are champs. They figure out how to work that big size. Hard working big size. Hard in this market.
Yeah, sure is. All right, 8:29. We're just hanging out.
Gotta talk PCG. We gotta talk these fires. PCG getting annihilated here again this morning. And seriously, it's down 29% more with more fires. So what's the deal here?
Yeah, I'm seeing a tweet here from a Reuters reporter that I'll just read it. His name is Robert Cryan. A new California fire appears linked to PCG equipment that was still on during the blackout. The equipment not old and inspected recently, but it doesn't matter. These new claimants would go to the front of the line, and the Bay Area faces a new blackout as a preventive measure for a windstorm. So there are new fires that are apparently linked to newer PG&E equipment.
It just can't be long, this stock. I mean, if it wasn't going bankrupt, I mean, there's just things happening like this, and now more problems. I mean, okay, so we're writing the book here right now, guys. So we got the first 3-page technical analysis. 4th page says don't chase, 2 words on the whole page. 5th page is going to say don't buy companies that are bankrupt. And, it worked for a little while in PCG when it went up to 25, still going through bankruptcy proceedings. But, I mean, in the long run here, it's not, 4 months later from when we were at $25, we're at $5 here now. Don't buy companies that are bankrupt. New rule. I like these rules. Rules of trading.
This one, when it was hanging...
Sounds simple. Don't buy companies that are bankrupt, but people do it.
Yeah, I bet you. I don't know what the puts. They're probably going to be so juiced up on this.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know what to say. I mean, here, definitely not a buyer. If I was short, maybe trying to bring some in here. Where did it bottom before? I think it bottomed just under $5, right?
Right around here.
507.
So
507. So
we're testing her.
yeah, if you're
I
short,
think we're eventually taking that out though.
yeah, I think
Maybe not today, maybe today. Maybe we bounce the first time, but I'm not planning for a bounce.
yeah. I mean, what's your rationale for being long this thing here?
It's bankrupt, going through bankruptcy. They've already said that we don't know if there's going to be anything left for the shareholders, which is why it's come all the way down. And, in the case of, a reorg, and, you've got more wildfires happening here now. So potentially more lawsuits. I mean, there's so many reasons not to own this. It's just mind-boggling why anybody would want to own this stock, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. We'll keep an eye on it. Where do we want to go? We got 4 minutes here till we bring on Raghee Horner from Simpler Forex, talk Forex markets. She also likes to trade stocks. So looking forward to talking to Raghee in a few minutes.
Let's do Gilead here. That was
Sure
from yesterday. Gilead Q3 adjusted EPS $1.75, beat by a penny. Sales 5.6 billion, missed by a hair. 5.61 billion was the estimate. They also narrowed their full year sales guidance, and they reaffirmed their prior EPS guidance.
You know what? This is just trading. It's the low multiple. It's a dividend play. It almost trades like, like a bond almost. It's trading with a 3.9% dividend here now. I mean, this stock its beta is very low. I mean, look at the trading action in the last year. This thing has been between 60 and 70 for the better part of a year. It just doesn't move much. So am I selling Gilead down $1.50? No, it could come back. It could come back eventually here for sure. Nothing's for sure, but it could come back. It could come back. I'm not going to sell it in the hole. Am I buying it down here? If it got near 62, I'd be interested. It's a little bit in the middle of nowhere. But if you're coming in here and saying, oh, I'm going to sell this, I think it's going down another 5 points today, you got to look at your average trading ranges. This thing just doesn't move. So that's another page in our book. Look at what your stock can potentially move. Gilead simply just doesn't move much.
64.20. Let's see what we hit in the pre-market. We hit 64 even, so 64.20. I see that as a potential level. Under that, you did get under, 64. I think that's in the area of the pre-market low. Stock doesn't move a whole lot. If you're looking for resistance here, if you sneak into the 65 handle, yesterday's low, actually a pair of lows there at 65.53 and 63. So if I was trying a quick scalp on the long side, I'd be out there at like 65.40, 65.5, try and get done on a little, sweep up, maybe up after the open. But Dennis, did you finally wiggle out of this thing? I think you're average down in it, and then
I sold at 85.
Yeah.
When I sold it the day they bought, that was a Kite they bought, Spencer?
I can't remember.
Yeah, that was a year and a half ago.
It was a ridiculous pop. It went, you can see it on the candle. It was in, I think, January of 2018. I think it was Kite, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it went from like 65 to 85 like in a day. I think it went all the way to 89. I didn't get quite the top, but I sold it out at 85. I was like, this is a ridiculous move. Too much, too fast. I'm like, I'm getting the hell out. And I sold it. It was a good sale. Unfortunately, I took that money that I bought from or sold from Gilead and I put it in Allergan. And Allergan was a dog, so I ended up losing on that anyways. Allergan obviously eventually got taken over, so I got a lot of that money back too, but still was definitely a dog. So I remember that though. GILD, just too big of a pop. And they thought, oh, we're buying the growth. This is what they want is growth. And they overpaid for growth. So
SP slipping a little bit here, down $2 here at 3,002 1/4. Yesterday's low 98.75. That's what we're looking at. Texas Linda asking about Tesla the day after here, and I mean if you look, I'd use yesterday's low. It did sell off a little bit, but it did come back. But if you're trying to protect some profits from the gap up, look at this 89.20 level. That was a low from yesterday. $8 away from it. there, you start to fall in the gap. I'd get a little bit of concern. I use today closing price 299.68. That's my big number today. Maybe even if you're thinking this is going to roll over, I think it has a chance to roll over unless you could close over 300. Close over 300, get 2 closes over 300, and boom, and then take out that 308 high. So big psychological number. The close right there at 99.68. Let's see if Tesla can close over 300.
I like that 289 low. So if you're long, I would lean exactly where you're saying on yesterday's low. Give it a little room, 288, 287. But say it starts trading through 286, I'd get the hell out. So that's what, if I was long this thing, you give yourself 10 points from here, and you try to hope for the next wave higher. Spinner thinks the next wave is higher. I think it could be 2. I think there's a lot of people caught in this, so I think it could continue to climb. I don't think it's going to sell right off. I'd be a buyer or pullbacks, but I wouldn't want to have an out. I always have an out, so I'd say 285, 286 is where my out would be if I was long.
All right, waiting on Raghee Horner to join us here. So
Okay.
in the meantime, let's just keep on with the earnings parade.
Keep it on.
Go to First Solar from this morning, FSLR, reporting Q3 EPS on a GAAP basis of 29 cents. Sales $546 million, down from $676 a year ago. They also reaffirmed their full year sales and EPS guidance. Sales is around 3.5 billion. EPS is around $2.50.
Holy mackerel, did I just sneak out of this one just in time that day when it was, what was the headline that day, which was ridiculous? What was it? The day that popped up on October 7th to the 62.88 high. What was the headline?
Let's go to the Benzinga.
Can't remember.
What was the day?
It was something with maybe tariffs or something. October 7th.
October 7th. Eliminates exemption to solar import tariffs.
Okay, so something with the tariffs. And anyways, you saw some solar, the China one's going down, the American one's going up. And I was like, I'm using this opportunity to get out of the stock because I was wrong. I was too early on the trade. I almost got my money back. I ended up selling that day unbelievably. And that doesn't happen very often, but right near the top, I think I got 62.81. The high was 62.88. I got out of the long-term investment and tanked that day. That was one of my best sales in a long time, getting near the high on almost the entire move up. I mean, this is it. When you're in a dog and you get a nice pop, sometimes those pops are the opportunity to get the hell out of the dog. And, I didn't do it in the Nokia case when I had climbed back to 5.5 and get punished for it. But when you're in a dog of a stock, sometimes, you got to use those pops to get out. And that's what happened here with First Solar. And then stock's been a dog since. Still, I like the solar industry long term. I think there's going to be a buying opportunity here eventually. So I don't think I'd be coming in here and selling it at 53 today. I'm almost interested in rebuying those shares that I sold at a certain point in time, but it's come so far. I almost wonder if it could go under 50 now, and it's out of favor. I mean, the sector is out of favor here right now. Canadian solar has come from 24 down to $18. You can look at all the Chinese ones too, like Jinko Solar, from 23 down to 15. SEDG, which seems to be the best in the space, is just unbelievable. It keeps going up no matter what. So you can see who the leader is. I don't know why, but obviously who the best in the space is. That's one you'd want to own. If you own it, I mean, congratulations. It's been unbelievable that it's going up when all the other ones are going down. They're obviously doing something right.
Interesting 15-minute chart here. You had a spike down to 51.01, right? And then you popped up to 55.05. And ever since then, you got a step down seller here. He wants out of the stock. He wants out bad. Or she. You have had not one candle here in the last, since that 4 a.m. open. You've had a lower high in every one of those 15-minute candles. Not sure when they're going to mop up the seller here, but they're just being patient with offers, knocking it down on the daily chart. You also have taken out the recent low of the move. Recent low of the move was at 54.07. So I'll use that as resistance and a pop. But right now, someone's selling stock here, and they're just having offers and offering it down and hitting bids.
All right, I do want to go to our guest right now, and I'll bring her on right now. Raghee Horner, as we mentioned, trader at Simpler Forex. She trades Forex. She trades stocks. She trades a lot. Raghee, good morning. Can you hear me?
I sure can. Good morning. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
It's a good morning. I'm glad it's Friday and looking forward to the shenanigans of the day.
You sound good. You got a good computer system there. Or doesn't she sound better than some of our very clear?
You got a good microphone, I guess.
I guess. What
I
kind
don't mess around with audio, especially when that's all I got.
All right. Well, we don't talk about the dollar a lot. We talk stocks, we talk a little bit of futures and stuff here, but we get a lot of questions about the dollar, and I just don't follow it as much. So I don't like to, have an opinion on things that I don't follow. But I think you do, and you like to trade it. So the dollar had a really nice run, and we pulled back here. So obviously, a lower dollar is good for a lot of our multinational corporations here. Is this a pullback in the dollar here, just a buy the dip opportunity, or longer term change in trend?
When I look at the dollar, I think of two things, and it probably takes me back a good 12 months. And that is really, do I want to be long euro?
Right.
And I think a lot of dollar conversations end up being sort of isolated to the dollar, when in the reality of Forex or currency futures, it's always a comparison. What would you want to be long the dollar or short the dollar against? So if I can't find places that I really want to be short the dollar against, yen would probably be the only one I'd entertain the notion of because of a possible rollover in equities and so forth. If I don't want to be long euro, that actually forces me to be long dollar. So that's just another way to look at long dollar, but I'm still a dollar bull, and pullbacks have been my bread and butter.
Okay. All right. So I'm looking at the UUP here, which is the instrument. You're out there in the actual currencies, right? Do you do anything in these ETFs at all? They
Oh,
seem to have pretty good volume.
absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up the ETFs, because most of the time when you bring up currencies, most people, the hair on the back of their neck stands up, because a lot of folks are uninterested right now in Forex, and that's fine. I mean, obviously we can go the futures route with DX futures, or as you mentioned, UUP, or the Euro FXE. So the options chain on UUP and FXE looks great. And a lot of times when traders ask me, Rag, how do I play the currencies, but not Forex? And I'll say, hey, go with the ETFs. FXE is great for playing the euro, and UUP is great for the basket, but it's only about 58% euro. So the rest of it is some fairy dusting of a few other currencies. So it's not as pure a play as, say, playing euro against US dollar as, say, FXE would be.
And what about, it's just funny how the complexion or what the market focuses on, changes. Weren't we like in a full out recession, inverted yield curve? We need to go to negative rates. Wasn't that like what, 3-4 weeks ago?
I think when I look back at, all these years of watching different inversions, to me, the actual inversion, number one, and I don't know if a lot of listeners know, and if you guys, certainly you guys have seen it over the years, but the typical time from the inversion to a recession is at minimum about 120 days to max close to 400 to 500. So the idea that we invert and then recessions around the corner, excuse me, is really not necessarily timing wise correct. And also there's a lot of false positives on those inversions. In fact, the best way to reduce the false positive on an inversion, causing or really forecasting a recession, is to wait for it to invert, uninvert, and then reinvert. And actually, we have seen that. And that brings you almost to a 100%. But the truth of the matter is, recession or not, I'm still looking for a pullback, a decent pullback in the equities markets, even if we don't go into, 2-quarter sequential GDP, no growth,
Let's move over to the equities markets here. And as we pointed out, trading, we've had our ups, we've had our downs, but pretty much a trading range. S&P, in the same range. At the up, we made incremental new highs, and then, have these like V bottoms now. But, we're up here. This is a great time. We're at a great point in the market because you've had to move up to an area which has been resistance. And, you can look at it both ways. Like, oh man, we're really hanging in here. We're holding 3,000. Great consolidation, continue the trend. Or, this is like, man, oh man, we're getting up here, we're holding up here, but the fact that we can't get through is a negative sign. So tell us what you're looking at for the key to the next one. I know when I'm looking at in the S&Ps, what's your go-to indicator here to see whether or not we're busting a 4,000 in the S&Ps or down to 2,000?
Hey, Joel, I'm going with the man-on-man trade. I definitely am one of those traders who believe what we're seeing right now is distribution, and that we're just going from one end of overbought to one end of oversold. So when I look at the lower end of, say, the S&P futures specifically, I know we're looking at the SPY on the screen, but basically what I'm looking at is 2850, which would be just above that 280 level on S&P. If we get down to that level like we did in the beginning of October, I'll be a buyer. And when we get up to the levels up in this area, I don't buy typical S&P weighted, NASDAQ weighted stocks. I start focusing on pullback buys in things like utilities or the ITB ETF or XLRE. I start looking at a lot of those trades that are doing well because of the short yield long bond trade. So I don't think we fall to 2,000. I don't think we go to 4,000 either. And I think, if headlines are why we keep, really think about it this way, this is the way I look at it. Short sellers like myself are basically being scared from short selling because we don't know what the next trade war hyperbole narrative is going to be. But with the repo, the not QE, phase one, even Brexit's phase one, and if that could not get us through, and the level I'm looking at is 3030 on the S&P, what on earth is this market waiting for to break to all-time highs? And that adds a level of overbought pessimism to me at 3,000.
So, Raghee, you're buying the defensive sectors on pullbacks. Are you looking at the ETFs, looking at individual names?
Sure. So if I'm looking at, for example, the XLU, and this is something I've done because I've been in Florida for 36 years. When I get into the beginning of hurricane season and NEE, which is Florida Power and Light, NextEra Energy, that's the number one weighted stock in the XLU. Usually around the end of May, beginning of June, every year, I live in Florida hurricane trade. I'll typically get long NEE. But since last November, December, I've been long the TLT. I look at XLU as a bond proxy. So not only am I long the number one weighted name because of seasonal reasons, the NEE, I'm long TLT because long bond short yield, that trade's taken off and I'm still in it. So that all culminates into, hey, XLU's got two great things going for it. The bond proxy buy and the NEE seasonal buy. So that's one way I look at it. If we were to take a look at ITB, which is another name I've been long in for about 10, 11 months, and I continue to buy pullbacks in. If you look at the weighting of ITB, we could even focus in on some of the heavily weighted names. I would stick with the top, say 6 or 8 heavily weighted names of the ITB and, be long those individual names or just cast a wider net and get long the entire ETF. It's just been a great performer. And when you notice that the equity markets, let's say XLC communications are pulling back and the S&P are pulling back, you'll notice names like XLU, XLRE, ITB are all moving higher. So this to me is a great place to hide out if, like myself, you think 3,000, 30 on the S&P is going to cause a bit of a rollover.
All right, Raghee, before we let you go here, we like to talk about a lot of education and stuff and good trades and bad trades. We're not like on everyone on Twitter. We have a lot of losing trades. Is there, I mean, you've been in the markets for quite a few years. Is there one trade or series of trades that kind of shaped your discipline or your mantra in the markets? And I mean, I kind of laugh and joke with Dennis when he talks about his losing trades. I talk about mine. Is there something that you could pass on to our listeners from your years of being in the market, something that like sticks out in your mind and has shaped your methodology?
Yeah, I love it, Joel. So if there's anything that I still find is the touch point of everything I do, it's stick with the trend. If there's not a trending market, then I'm usually going to be looking for somewhere else that there is. So as much as I might be talking about the S&P distribution, it really is the ITB, GLD gold, it's TLT or the ZB futures for the 30-year. It's really those places that I feel I still have a better trend. So sticking with the trend's a big deal. Every time that I've really made a bad mistake and lost money in the market. Again, losing money to me is not the same thing as a mistake. Losing money, as we all know, is just part of it. but it's usually been wandering into choppy markets where I don't have the advantage of that trend. And gosh, over the last 30 years, the mistakes, oh gosh, are numerous. But every time it's because I've treated a trending trade, ignored a trending market and favored a choppy one. Choppy markets kill accounts. Chop kills. So that's my 2 cents.
I like that.
Raghee Horner, as we mentioned, is a trader at Simpler Forex. Raghee, thanks so much for the time today.
Thanks for having me on. I love listening to you guys, and I really appreciate it.
All right, have a good one, Raghee.
Take care.
All right, 8:50 here on the nose. So do you want to do more earnings, or I have a couple of trivia questions?
I'll
I'll
that time?
I'll let you guys decide. You want to do more
Is it
earnings?
that time?
We can do more earnings if you'd like, or we can do some trivia.
Let's do a little hot potato. We skipped it last week. We'll do it. It's a short thing. See if Dennis can knock me off my undefeated perch.
All right.
I beat you last week, didn't I? Or 2 weeks ago?
I think that was 2 weeks ago.
No, we didn't have last week.
No,
The arm's working.
All right. So the theme of this week is trick or treat. Okay,
Oh, my boy would rock this. Bring the 5-year-old in.
Okay, Dennis, close your chats down so you don't cheat.
So here's the thing.
Chats down, Joel. I don't cheat.
Questions are divided up into.
I worry about you though.
You did one. I know you did.
Okay, questions are divided up into treats. These are questions that are about things that you guys both know about, easy questions, and then trick questions related to, most of them related to the market in some way. So
I like that thing.
I'm already confused.
The treats are worth the treats.
That's nothing new.
The treats are about things that you would know, that you guys know about in your life. Those are worth 1 point. Trick questions are worth 2 points. I'll start with you, Dennis, and I'll give you a treat just so we get an idea of, like,
if I get the treat wrong, I'm gonna feel really bad though.
You're right. All right, all right, Dennis. In what year did the Edmonton Oilers enter the National Hockey League?
This is a treat, but they started, and I've got to just look and say. So they were in the WHA definitely in '78, and I believe that they started. I'm gonna say '79.
Oh, you got it, man.
Oh, it was '78 or '79, and I was like, I was 3 years old at the time, but I'm pretty sure '79. That was a little bit of a tough treat.
You got it. Yeah.
If anybody wants to join us at the Edmonton Oilers Wings game, Dennis is buying tickets for the.
Buy tickets. They're in Detroit on Tuesday. We're going.
All right, Joel. Here's a treat for you. Here's a treat for you. Treat for you. Who holds the Michigan record for most attempted passes?
The Michigan record.
Yeah.
For most attempted.
It was in the 90s. I'll give you that.
Question.
I would have to say Elvis Gerbach.
See, I knew he would know it. All right, there we go.
Willoughby Hills, Ohio.
How well do you know your teams?
There we go. All right, 1 point each. You. Let's go to the tricks now. Dennis, where was the first stock exchange in the U.S.?
Like physically located?
Yes, physically located.
What year?
I don't
how long are we going back? When was the first stock exchange?
I'm afraid if I give you the year, I might give it away.
Yeah.
1800s? Like,
no,
when was the first?
He's not giving you the year.
I'm afraid if I give you the year, it will be a here. I'll give you the year. It was 1790.
1790. That's 200 years. It's 230 years ago.
So you don't know.
Can I get a steal?
No, I'm gonna say, wow.
Don't say California, Dennis.
Well, so what? You want to know what state, or what did you want to know? What city? What do you want to know?
City is important. I would. Okay.
I'd have to say.
I think it was the. I don't know.
Dennis, give me an answer or don't.
California.
Because California wasn't even around.
Joel,
Pacific Stock Exchange.
Joel, please steal this if you can.
Plymouth, Massachusetts.
California was around in 1790, wasn't it?
The answer is Philadelphia.
Philadelphia Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
Well, I had the P right. I was thinking Pacific Stock Exchange.
All right. This one is really hard.
You're right. California probably was. I don't know my American history.
All right,
Sorry,
Joel.
I'm Canadian.
Okay.
All right.
I'm focusing here. So it's 1-0 me, right?
No, it's 1-1. Stop cheating.
It's 1-1. All All right, Joel, who was the first CEO of Tesla? This is really hard. I'm
So
sorry.
this is a trick question.
Yeah,
So it's not Elon Musk.
that's
Apparently not.
That's correct.
If he gave you that one, I would be throwing a fit.
That
right
lady that was just on TV.
Great guess. No, unfortunately, this was hard. I'm sorry.
Never even heard of him.
Well, he was
Who is it?
He was one of the founders, Martin Eberhard, and he was one of
Wow.
Marty
Uh,
Eberhard,
the. Okay,
the Martian.
Martin. We should have known Martin.
let's do
Great TV show.
Let's do another trick. I'll give this one to Dennis here. So Dennis,
Another trick.
I don't even know if
All right, it's fine. Let's do it.
I don't even know if it.
Man, you come up with hard questions.
I know I'm doing them next week.
I don't even know if it's a trick question really. But Dennis, what internet based company that IPO'd in '95 is credited with starting the .com bubble? What internet IPO, I guess, is credited with starting the .com bubble?
Pets.com.
Nope. 95 is the year. That was not a 95 IPO. Joel, do you know? Internet-based company, or internet company, I should call it. Internet company.
It was Napster.
Oh, you're close. You're close. It is Netscape.
Oh,
Netscape. Remember Netscape?
I knew it.
Remember that? I do remember
I
Netscape.
get a half a point for that.
No, you don't. Okay, Joel, fix your camera.
I banged the desk. I banged the desk. I'm gonna get in trouble.
I only have one more. I didn't have a lot. I didn't have a
ACLU.
lot of preparation this week, so I only have one more question. So that was to Joel. So I'll give this one to Dennis here.
For the win, Dennis.
All right.
And I can steal.
Let's.
I hope it's a treat.
I was making a hard one.
No, it's not a treat. Sorry.
Only one treat for each of us.
I gave you both the easy one
Proud.
up front. Okay. Dennis, in the 1980s, a consumer goods company funded a coalition that campaigned to push back daylight savings time so it wouldn't include Halloween for that year. That they would push it back till after Halloween.
They were trying to get rid of Halloween.
No. They were trying to give kids more time, an extra hour of light. They wanted to push it back to after Halloween. It's a consumer goods company that campaigned to push daylight savings time back till after Halloween. Do you know what that company was? Or guess that company?
The answer is no.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a
Can I
hard
guess?
question.
Yes.
Procter and Gamble.
Very close.
Oh,
Very close. That's a great guess. It was actually Clorox. But
I
that
should have
was
just guessed a big one.
that was a really good guess.
I'd never guessed
So we
Clorox. So.
tied. So I'm still undefeated, Dennis.
Wait, I had another one and I lost it. Here we go.
All right, this is for the win then.
Sure. Which publicly traded company right now produced the first individually wrapped candy? I'll give you a hint. It's a candy company.
Hershey's.
Well, it can't be Hershey because that's a treat. That's no way. It can't be that easy.
No, this is Hershey is a great guess. Hershey is wrong.
I'm gonna go with Tootsie Roll.
That is right. That is right, Dennis.
I got it. I won. I beat Joel.
It is Tootsie Roll. I'm
He
done.
pulls
No
it
more.
out.
I'm done. That's all I
Pulls the
got.
rabbit out of the hat at the last second.
That's all I got. No more.
TR, baby.
No more questions.
Boom.
Down goes Frazier.
Let me see that Tootsie Roll. Here we go.
All right.
Here we go.
All right.
Have you ever traded that stock?
Yeah, I traded Tootsie Roll, TR.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Listen
I've
to
traded everything, Joel.
Okay.
Except oil futures,
know that,
which
Brad?
IB thought I did.
Tootsie Roll. Brent didn't even know Tootsie Roll.
I would have beat Brent. Nobody can beat Brent.
All right. Let's get some final thoughts here, guys, as we head into this weekend.
And a quick imbalance look. Twitter, if you're wondering why it's straight up, 279,000 shares to buy in Twitter here right now, TWTR. That's why it's straight up a little bit in the pre-market. That's the opening imbalance. You want to look the other way, PCG, 284,000 to sell. It's probably going to get uglier there because obviously the stock's trading down $1.50 here, although off the lows here now. Morgan Stanley, 50,000 to sell. Bank of America, 85,000 to sell. The TLT is trading higher. That is usually not that great for banks, although it's not up much. That's about it.
Well, Cajun One says we need new contestants, and I agree.
Yes.
We're gonna do
That's
that
a great,
We are going to do this. We're going to bring on two guests. Yeah, from
great point.
Two guests, or are we going to get some people from the
two
chat?
people from the chat.
Yeah, Joel.
We're bringing on two people from the chat for next week's. I think we should do that.
So here's what you should do. If you want to be contestant on hot potato, I guess we're calling
Hot
it that
potato
now.
segment, yes.
Email premarket@benzinga.com. Okay, we're all on that email. We will all get it.
Do I get that email?
Yes, you get
Do
that.
I get that email?
Yes, you get that email too.
You get it too, Dennis.
You guys just don't check your email, but I do, so it's okay.
Well,
So-
it's funny. Paul Monica tweeted out something, and looking at it, he's like, I just can't stand it when I have an email unread. And then I tweeted back at him, and I looked at my iPhone. I have the little 482 number in the corner of my little mail app.
all right, so if you're
And that
interested,
means 482 emails not read.
email premarket@benzinga.com, premarket as in premarket prep @benzinga.com, and we will coordinate that. Do you want to thank our guest?
I'm going to check that email too. So I'm into this.
Email
us.
You've never checked
How
it before.
about Spinner versus Aviator 1?
He's never checked his email before, and he won't now.
Spinner, Aviator 1?
Hey, email us.
Email. Everyone email us. We want to get some of these.
You want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to remind you about the Webull Weed Trader competition. It resets on Monday, the third week of the contest. You can win $11,000 worth of Amazon gift cards and the grand prize of a Tesla Model 3 or $40,000 towards your student loans. Just download the Webull app to learn more. Thanks to our guest, Raghee Horner. Thanks to all of you in our chats. Please remember all the information from our show meant to be used as informational purposes only, not for investing or trading advice. Catch our podcast or watch us on YouTube if you missed the show. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. We'll be back with you on